The night was dark, the road stretching out like a lonely ribbon under a sky that didn't care. Can you imagine it? A few cars drifting by, their headlights slicing through the damp air, bouncing off the slick pavement like fleeting ghosts. Streetlights flickered overhead, throwing eerie, jagged shadows across that quiet highway just outside Birmingham, Alabama. It was late way past 11, the kind of hour where the world feels heavy, where all anyone wants is to collapse into the comfort of home. Lieutenant Commander Renee Dawson had been behind the wheel for nearly 2 hours, her fingers tapping a restless little dance against the steering wheel. Was she tired? Sure. But the soft hum of an old jazz tune spilling from her speakers kept her grounded, a soothing rhythm weaving through the stillness. She wasn't in her crisp navy uniform tonight. Nope. Just a simple black sweater hugging her frame, jeans that fit like a second skin, and her hair pulled back tight. Did she look like someone special? Not really. Or so she thought, just another woman driving home. Oh, how wrong she was about to be proven. Then bam! There they were, those flashing lights in her rearview mirror. Red and blue, pulsing like a predator's heartbeat, closing in fast. Her stomach twisted not out of fear, oh no, Renee wasn't the type to scare easy, but out of sheer bone-deep exhaustion. Another stop? Really? She sighed, flicked on her blinker, eased into the next lane, and guided her car onto the shoulder with the grace of someone who'd done this dance before. She shifted into park, took a slow, steadying breath, calmed down. Girl, you've got this, and kept both hands right where they'd be seen, resting lightly on the wheel. She'd been in the military long enough to know the routine, to feel it in her bones. A white patrol car screeched to a stop behind her, its engine growling like it was impatient too. The officer didn't rush out, no. He took his sweet time, letting the tension build. When he finally stepped into the night, his heavy boots scraped the asphalt like a warning. One hand rested lazily on his belt. The other gripped a flashlight that snapped on with a click. Cutting through the dark, she tilted her head just enough to catch his badge glinting in the mirror. Briggs. Who was this guy? Trouble, that's who. License and registration. He barked no hello, no good evening. Just a cold, flat demand like she was already guilty of something. Renee locked eyes with him in the mirror, steady, unflinching, then reached oh so slowly into the glove compartment, pulling out her papers with the calm of a woman who'd faced worse than this. Was I speeding, officer? She asked, her voice smooth as glass. Did he even hear her? Briggs didn't bother answering, just snatched the documents from her hand, holding them out of reach, like some petty king inspecting his spoils. His eyes roamed over her car, taking it all in. Tail lights out, he finally muttered, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Renee frowned. Wait. What? That can't be right, she shot back, disbelief creeping into her tone. He finally looked at her, really looked at her, and, oh, you could feel the air tighten. Are you arguing with me? He snapped, his words hanging there like a challenge. Silence stretched between them, tense, electric. Didn't he know who he was dealing with? Renee felt that familiar shift, that quiet clash where power butts heads with resistance, where one side expects the other to just roll over and play dead. She'd seen this game before briefings on bases halfway across the world, training drills that hardened her for moments just like this. Should she push? No, she knew better, but she also knew her rights, damn it. I'm just saying, she replied. Cool as a cucumber. My tail lights were checked a few weeks ago. But if there's an issue, I can get it fixed, no problem. Briggs cut her off like she hadn't even spoken. Step out of the car, he ordered, his voice slicing through the night. Renee let out a slow, simmering breath. She glanced ahead, no cars, no witnesses, just an empty road staring back. Her fingers tapped the wheel once, tap, then reach for the door. Mind telling me why? She asked, keeping it light but firm. Briggs tilted his head, a smirk curling his lips. Because I said so. He fired back like that was all the reason she'd ever need. Oh, really? She let that sit there for a heartbeat, then unbuckled her seatbelt with a soft click and shoved the door open. The night air hit her cooler than she'd expected, sharp against her skin. She stepped onto the pavement, her stance easy but deliberate. Was she looking for a fight? No way, but she sure as hell wasn't about to be pushed around. Briggs took a step back, his eyes raking over her like he was measuring how far he could take this. Could he sense her strength? "Turn around, hands on the car," he barked. This time, she paused. "Hold up. What's this about? For what reason?" she asked, her tone steady but pointed. He stepped closer, that smirk vanishing like smoke. "Are you resisting?" he hissed, daring her to say yes. Renee didn't budge. "No, I'm asking a question," she shot back, calm but unyielding. Did he flinch? Maybe just a flicker of annoyance, or was it amusement? Then, out of nowhere, he grabbed his radio. "We got a non-compliant driver here," he muttered into it. Then louder, "Turn around!" Her pulse kicked up thump, but her face stayed a mask of cool control. "Officer, the first need you to understand something," she said, her voice dropping low, firm, unshakable. "I know exactly what I'm allowed to do, and I know exactly what you can't do." Oh, that hit a nerve. Briggs's jaw clenched tight, his smug little world cracking at the edges. "You're under arrest," he snapped, lunging for her wrist. Renee moved fast, stepped back just enough to slip his grasp. "Under arrest for what?" she demanded, incredulous. He yanked out his cuffs, the metal glinting under the streetlights. "For obstructing an officer," he growled. She let out a sharp, bitter huff through her nose seriously. This was his play? Her military training surged to life, heartbeat steady, breaths even. Fight now or fight later? She could comply and dismantle him in court, or push back and risk this spiraling out of control. No way was she becoming another name on some grim list. With slow, deliberate grace, she turned, planting her hands on the cool roof of her car. Briggs didn't hesitate, yanked her arms back, snapped the cuffs on way too tight, and shoved her toward his patrol car like she was nothing. "You don't know what you're doing," she murmured, a quiet warning. He actually chuckled, and pushed her into the back seat. "Lady, I know exactly what I'm doing," he sneered. "Oh, Briggs, you poor fool, you have no idea." The hard plastic seat dug into her back like a punishment, the cuffs biting into her wrists with every tiny shift. Renee sat still, breathing slow and measured, as the door slammed shut with a clang that echoed in her chest. Outside, Briggs strutted back to his car, muttering into his radio like a king issuing decrees. She glanced at the partition, caught the faint reflection of her own face, staring back, calm on the surface, but simmering underneath. She'd faced combat drills, high-stakes missions, interrogations in places most people couldn't pronounce. But this was different. This was a man with a badge, drunk on his own power, thinking he could break her. Ha! Minutes crawled by 5, then 10. She tested the cuffs, too tight. He'd done it on purpose, no doubt about it. The driver's door swung open and Briggs slid in, whistling like he didn't have a care in the world. Well, he muttered, buckling up with a smug grin. "Let's take a little ride." She didn't bite, didn't give him the satisfaction. He threw the car into gear, peeling off the shoulder, the red and blue lights still flashing like some twisted victory lap. "You know," he said after a beat, "most people just keep their mouths shut when I tell them to step out." Renee huffed. "Oh, please. And most officers don't arrest people for questioning a traffic stop." She fired back, sharp and fearless. Briggs laughed, shaking his head like she was some naive kid. "Lady, you must really think you're somebody," he scoffed. She met his gaze through the glass, unblinking, unshaken. "I don't think I know," she said, letting the words land like a punch. Did he falter? Just for a second, his knuckles tightened on the wheel, a crack in that smug mask, but he brushed it off fast. "You military?" he asked, his tone shifting, probing. She didn't answer. Why should she? Yeah, I figured, he rambled on, smirking again. You got that attitude, that above the law vibe. Bet you thought I'd back off if you flexed that, huh? Silence. She let him stew in it. Shame, he mused, shaking his head. If you'd just kept quiet, we could have skipped all this. Oh, the nerve. Her jaw tightened, blaming her for his abuse of power. Unreal. The station loomed ahead, a gray brick box squatting off the road. Its parking lot, a ghost town this late. Briggs pulled into a spot, killed the engine, and turned to leer at her through the partition. Gotta say, he murmured, I do love when they make it easy. Before she could snap back, he was out, slamming the door. Her door flew open a second later. Let's go, he barked. She twisted her wrists, ouch, still too tight, and stepped out, head high, unshaken. He marched her inside, past a desk sergeant who barely glanced up, and into processing. The holding area reeked of stale coffee and sweat gross. A metal bench hugged the wall, a steel door to the cells looming nearby. Briggs uncuffed her just long enough for fingerprints and a mugshot click. Flash then grabbed her wrist again, dragging her toward the cells. You think you're smart, huh? He muttered. She shot him a sideways glance. I don't have to think, she said, cool and cutting. His grip tightened. Oh, he hated that. Enjoy your stay, he sneered, shoving her into the cell. She caught herself, turned, and watched the bars slide shut. Clank, Briggs smirked, tapping the bars like a taunt, then sauntered off. She sank onto the bench, cold, hard, grounding. One night, she told herself. Just one night, and this fool would learn who he'd crossed. The cell was bleak, four walls, a flickering light, the faint stink of sweat and bleach. Renee shifted, rolling her shoulders stiff already. She'd slept in worse spots, faced real danger overseas. This was nothing, but oh, was she pissed. Beyond the bars, she caught the low hum of officers chatting, the rustle of papers, the clink of a coffee mug. Breathe, girl, breathe, she steadied herself, letting that old training kick in. Then thud, thud those heavy footsteps again. Briggs! She knew that arrogant stride anywhere. He swaggered into view, arms crossed, smirk plastered on like he owned the world. Comfy? He taunted. She didn't blink. He stepped closer, too close. If you just played along, you wouldn't be here, he sneered. She let a slow, dangerous smile creep across her face. Oh, I'm exactly where I need to be, she said. And, oh, snap, his smirk wobbled just for a second. Was that doubt in his eyes? He scoffed, glancing around the empty room. No one's coming for you tonight, lady, he shrugged. Guess you'll have time to rethink that attitude. She didn't flinch. Bring it on. He leaned in, voice dropping. People like you think the rules don't apply. Think a little confidence gets you out of anything, he hissed. Let him talk. She didn't care. He had no clue what was coming. Then, like fate stepping in, another officer shuffled up, young, nervous, clutching a clipboard. Sergeant? He stammered. We got a call. Briggs barely glanced at him. Rude much? But the kid pressed on. And I think you need to see this. Briggs frowned, shot Renee a glare, then stomped off. She leaned back, ears sharp, hushed voices, something about a lawyer, a call from higher up, questions about her arrest. Briggs snapped back, irritated, but the kid mumbled something that clearly didn't help. Then thud, thud, he stormed back, jaw tight, fists balled. What the hell did you do? He demanded. Renee leaned forward, cool as ice. I didn't do anything, she said, tilting her head. But people talk, and some of us have friends in very high places. Oh, you should have seen his face darkening, crumbling. He wasn't the big man anymore, and he knew it. He spun away, muttering, and vanished. Renee exhaled, game over. Briggs, game over. Morning light poured into the courthouse, streaking the polished floors like liquid gold. Was it cold in there? You bet bone-chilling if you stood still too long. Renee stood by the defendant's table. No cuffs, no jumpsuit, just a sharp navy blazer, a crisp blouse, and a presence that screamed power. Her attorney, Carla Whitman, flipped through papers beside her efficient, no nonsense, all business. Love that. The courtroom doors swung open, boom, and in strode Briggs, still acting like he owned the place. Shoulders squared, chin up, but wait, what was that? A stiffness, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Oh yes, he wasn't so sure anymore. Renee caught his gaze. He looked away fast. Ha! Good. The courtroom door creaked open and in swept Judge Alan Kirkland. Can you picture it? An older man with a face etched by years of tough calls, his weary eyes hiding behind thick glasses he adjusted with a flick of his wrist. The room fell silent, like the air itself held its breath. He didn't mess around, no way. All right, he sighed, his voice gravelly as he skimmed the case files stacked before him. Let's get to it. Oh, the tension was thick already. The prosecutor, a middle-aged guy with hair combed so neat it looked painted on, cleared his throat loudly, like he wanted everyone to notice. Your Honor, he began, all business. We've got reason to believe Lieutenant Commander Renee Dawson was unlawfully detained. Can you believe it? Without a shred of probable cause. And get this, new info's pointing to a pattern of misconduct by the arresting officer, Sergeant Daniel Briggs. A murmur erupted, rippling through the room like a shockwave. Briggs shifted in his seat. Oh, you bet he felt that, his jaw tightening so hard you could hear his teeth grind. Judge Kirkland peered over his glasses, those sharp eyes locking onto Briggs like lasers. Sergeant Briggs, care to explain yourself? He asked, his tone dripping with suspicion. Briggs leaned forward, clearing his throat like he could cough away the trouble. Your Honor, the defendant was uncooperative during a routine traffic stop, he said, all puffed up like he owned the truth. The prosecutor jumped in, bomb, cutting him off like a blade. Uncooperative? He snapped, snatching a document off the table and waving it like a flag. Lieutenant Commander Dawson's got a record that shines brighter than gold. Naval Academy grad, multiple commendations, not a single criminal mark or unpaid ticket, nothing. Are you seriously telling me this decorated officer was such a threat over a busted tail light that you had to slap cuffs on her? Oh, snap. Briggs opened his mouth. What's he got? Then clamped it shut. Silence stretched out, heavy and awkward. The prosecutor wasn't done. He flipped through his papers with a flourish. And hold on to your hats, internal reviews. Show your arrest history's got a glaring problem. Way too many traffic stops targeting black drivers in this district. The murmurs exploded louder, angrier. Briggs's face darkened. Did he feel the heat yet? Judge Kirkland set his file down with a tired sigh thud and fixed Briggs with a look that could melt steel. Sergeant, I don't like what I'm hearing, not one bit, he said, his voice low but loaded. Briggs sat back, crossing his arms like a stubborn kid. She resisted, he insisted, doubling down. The prosecutor raised an eyebrow. Really, dude? The body cam footage says otherwise. He shot back, cool and cutting. Another wave of noise rolled through the room. People couldn't believe it. Briggs glanced at the judge, suddenly all defensive. I was following standard procedure, he argued. But oh, you could tell he was scrambling. Judge Kirkland wasn't having it, not for a second. He nodded to the bailiff. Here we go. Let's play the footage, he ordered. A screen dropped at the front of the courtroom creak and the video flickered to life. Renee didn't even turn to watch. Why would she? She'd lived every second of that nightmare. There it was, Briggs barking orders like some wannabe dictator. Renee's voice calm and steady as a rock. The escalation so unnecessary it was laughable. And oh man, that smug way he tightened those cuffs. When the screen went dark, the room was dead silent, pin drop quiet. Judge Kirkland leaned forward, steepling his fingers like a man about to drop a bomb. Sergeant Briggs, you violated protocol big time. You pulled off an unlawful arrest, and you lied through your teeth in your initial statement, he declared, his voice booming. Briggs opened his mouth, gonna fight back, but the judge shut him down. The charges against Lieutenant Commander Dawson are dismissed right now. His gavel slammed crack, sharp and final. And I'm strongly suggesting an internal investigation into Sergeant Briggs's conduct. Oh, yes. The tension snapped like a rubber band stretched too far. Briggs looked like he'd been sucker-punched face red, fists clenched, gutted. Renee just exhaled slow, controlled, unshaken. Did she ever doubt she'd win? Not a chance. As she stood, gathering her things with that quiet grace, she flicked her eyes toward Briggs one last time. Their gazes locked electric, but no words passed between them. Why bother? This time, she wasn't the one scrambling to save her name. Briggs was. He stormed out, his heavy boots pounding the polished hallway like thunder. Could he feel the stares? You bet officers, court staff, even reporters who'd caught wind of the drama and swarmed in. This wasn't his scene, not anymore. He was used to strutting in, commanding respect or fear, take your pick, but now that power he'd clung to was slipping away, dripping through his fingers like sand. And then, oh, here it comes. The worst blow yet. Sergeant Briggs. A voice sliced through the chaos. He spun around, and there stood Chief Eldon Baker, arms crossed, face unreadable, a legend in the department with 30 years under his belt. His word? Solid gold. Briggs straightened snap, like a soldier caught slacking. "Sir!" he barked. Baker studied him, eyes narrowing, then jerked his head toward a private office. The door shut bam, and the chief's tone dropped low, lethal. "What the hell were you thinking, Briggs?" he growled. Briggs huffed seriously. "I was doing my job," he shot back, all bravado. Baker scoffed, tossing a file onto the desk, thud, heavy as a brick. "Your job? That's not what this looks like," he snapped. The body cam footage, the arrest stats, the fact Briggs didn't even know who he'd tangled with, it was all there, screaming guilt. Briggs's nostrils flared. Oh, he was mad now. "What does that have to do with anything?" he demanded. Baker leaned in close and hissed, "Everything!" His voice was quiet but razor sharp. This wasn't some nobody off the street. This was a high-ranking Navy officer. "You think this just vanishes into thin air?" Briggs looked away, teeth grinding ouch, but Baker wasn't letting up. "She was disrespectful," Briggs muttered. "She questioned you." Baker fired back. "That's not a crime, you idiot." Briggs scoffed. "Oh, please," shaking his head. "You don't get it, people like that." He trailed off. Baker's face hardened ice cold. "People like what?" he pressed, daring Briggs to finish. Silence, awkward, heavy. Baker sighed, rubbing his forehead like this mess gave him a headache. The DA's digging through every case you've touched in the last 5 years, every single one. You're flagged for racial profiling, and trust me, this department's not sinking with your ship. Briggs's stomach twisted. Did he feel sick yet? What does that mean? He croaked. Baker straightened tall, unyielding. It means you're suspended right now. Internal Affairs is on your tail, and if they find what I think they will. He shook his head. Game over. Your career's toast. The words slammed into Briggs like a freight train pow, his face burning hotter than a furnace. This is bull, he spat, but Baker's hand shot up. Stop. Don't finish that sentence, he warned, voice pure ice. Pack up your desk, and if I were you, I'd lawyer up fast. Briggs stood there, fists balled, his whole world unraveling. Oh, how the mighty fall. For the first time, he realized he wasn't untouchable. Ouch. That stings. Across town, Renee sat in a cozy little cafe. Can you smell the coffee stirring a steaming cup as she scrolled her phone? The case was everywhere, headlines blazing. Footage gone viral. Lieutenant Commander wrongfully arrested. Officer under investigation. Was she shocked? Nope. She'd known from the moment she stepped out of her car that night how this would play out. Men like Briggs entitled, arrogant, twisting the law to fit their egos. She'd seen them before. But this time, he'd lost big time. Her phone buzzed, ding, a text from her attorney. Briggs suspended. Might face charges. Renee sipped her coffee slow, savoring it. Good, she murmured, glancing out the window at the bustling city. The fight wasn't over, not by a long shot, but today was hers. The crisp afternoon air hit her as she stepped outside, fresh with rain's promise, and that weight from the last 24 hours? Gone. She walked tall, step steady, always had, always would. Her phone buzzed again, another call. She sighed, here we go, and answered. Captain, she said. Lieutenant Commander, came the familiar voice, warm, steady. I assume you've seen the news? Oh, yeah, she replied. A beat then. How you feeling? Renee caught her reflection in a shop window. No cracks, no defeat, just strength. I feel like I did exactly what I was supposed to do, she said, firm and proud. The captain's tone softened awe. That's what I thought you'd say, he chuckled. A pause then. The Department of Defense is eyeballing your case. Don't be shocked if they want you to speak. Renee huffed, really? Not sure I'm into being a headline, she said. Too late, you already are, he countered. Like it or not, this is bigger than you. She knew that, she'd always known. Briggs wasn't just one bad apple, he was part of a rotten system letting guys like him run wild for years. This wasn't just her fight, it was for everyone who'd faced his badge and didn't have her rank. Her team, her voice. Leaning against a streetlight, she watched cars roll by, life moving on. This isn't the first time this has happened, she said, quiet but fierce, and it won't be the last. No, the captain agreed, but it's the first time Briggs is paying for it, and that's because you didn't back down. Oh, those words sank in deep. She didn't flinch, not when he pulled her over, not when he tried to scare her, not when those cuffs bit her wrists, not even locked up with the odds against her. She'd stood tall and won. The captain cleared his throat cough. One more thing the mayor's office might call, he added. Renee's brows shot up. Say what? Oh? Seems they want to honor your professionalism and grace. She smirked. Ha! That's ironic, she said. He laughed. Good one. You gonna take it? She shrugged. I'll think about it, she said, hanging up and pocketing her phone. Across the street, a mom walked with her little boy, his laugh so free, so alive. Renee watched heartful. She'd fought for him, for every kid who deserved a world where badges weren't weapons. She took a deep breath, fresh, cleansing, and walked off, purpose in every step. This wasn't just her battle, never had been. Power unchecked is power abused. Truth and change, it starts with holding it accountable. What happened to Renee happens every day, every damn day, to folks without rank, connections, or proof. That's why we've got to speak up, shout it, demand better, refuse to shut up. Did this story spark something in you? Share it. Made you mad? Yell about it. Showed you how much work's left? Stay in it. Real change kicks off with real talk. Let's keep it going. Oh, let me tell you, this story fires me up. It's a blazing reminder of how power can twist people, how someone like Briggs can strut around, badge gleaming, thinking he's untouchable, preying on folks just trying to live their lives. I'm furious that this isn't some rare tale. Renee's fight shines a spotlight on a rotting system where too many get crushed under unchecked authority, especially people of color. How is it fair that your skin tone can turn a routine drive into a nightmare? It's sickening, and it's gotta stop. But oh yes, Renee's grit, that's what fuels my soul. She didn't just take it lying down, no way. She stood tall, wielded her rights like a weapon, and brought that bully crashing down. That's the lifestyle I'm all about. Resilience, courage, knowing who you are, refusing to let anyone stomp on it. I believe we've all got to channel that, stand up, speak out, fight back, socially. This screams for change. Why are we still letting these power-drunk clowns roam free? We need accountability. Not just for Briggs, but for every officer who thinks they're above the law. And the bigger picture? It's personal. Every kid laughing on the street, every person driving home, they deserve a world where justice isn't a privilege. You've got a claw for. I'm hopeful Renee's win proves we can shift the tide, but I'm impatient too. How long until this isn't a headline anymore, just history? I say we keep pushing, keep talking, keep raging until the system bends or breaks. Real change? It's not a dream, it's a demand. And I'm all in.